Hi and welcome to the We Nearly Roads podcast. And what idiot dressed you in that outfit? No, David, that's not an insult. It's a line from Back to the Future 3. And the correct response is...
I don't know.
You did. You know, when Doc and Marty, he dresses him in the stuff that looks really bad and calls himself Clint Eastwood. Anyway, I watched Back to the Future 3 the other week, so yeah. Anyway, coming up in this week's speed run of a show, because David's got a hard out and needs to be going off to do important stuff really soon.
Because I've got a what?
It's called a hard out when you have to go somewhere quickly.
Okay, I thought you said something completely different there.
No.
And I was like, that is not why I need to get anywhere anytime soon.
Anyway, so coming up in this show, we have Lord of the Rings news as its production's going to be moved to England. We're going to be talking the new trailers for Y the Last Man and Mike Flanagan's Midnight Mass. And in our last post, David forced me to watch Clarkson's Farm, and I have. So we'll talk about that, and David will bring misery with his thoughts on The Handmaid's Tale. And only several years late to the party, I've been watching Channel 4's Misfits, once described as like heroes, but if they are all fuckwits. So, first up this week, we are legally required to give a few shout-outs after crossing the 1,000-follower barrier on Twitter the other week. And now if just half our followers on Twitter listened, we double our downloads. That's maths, people. But we're not here to beg, rather here to thank. So big enormous thanks go out to Timeline of Terror, who just missed and were our 1,008th. It got a bit crazy. Yeah, well, it got a little bit crazy when like all these new followers started crashing in on Sunday night. Cathedral Birds, who are a songwriting duo from the north of England, they missed by one and were our 1001 follower, and you can find them on Spotify with their name, Cathedral Birds. But our 1000th follower was Playlist Wars, and they're from New Jersey, and as their biopic says, and as their bio says, one topic, 3 playlists, you decide who's best. A fresh take on music commentary with special guests. Let the battles begin. So, that is also now been added to my never-ending list of podcasts that I have to listen to. So yeah, just a general big thank you to all our new followers and our current followers that we acquired in a mad 24 hours. And yeah, see, the internet can be a power for good, and we gained about 60 new followers in that time.
It's so not full of just complete arseholes. Like, I mean, my football Twitter's just filled with complete arseholes. And the Weenie Rose Twitter's so humble, it's so nice in comparison.
Yeah, there's like, we've been doing this since what, February? And we love it. Basically, it's great. You know, it's people talking about films, people not being dicks if you disagree with people's opinions on films, and that's exactly what the internet should be. Oh, you like that? I don't, but that's fair enough.
Yeah, I like it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So, lastly, a shout out to some of our biggest supporters, and these guys have been following us since the start. They've shared us constantly since the start, and I have actually listened to all these guys' pods, and they are great pods in their. They are just great pods anyway. So we've got the guys over at Cast Me to Hell. We've got that superhero thing. We've got 100 Things We Learned from Film, SP Film Viewers, and of course, Film Vloggers. Yeah. Give them all a listen. They are all truly excellent pods. So now, what next, David? We have our millions and millions of dollars and universal acclaim from the internet. We can retire, right? And it's super yachts all the way.
Yep. I've already got the private jet on order.
Nice. Well, actually, no, it's business as usual here at We Nearly Roads, and we promise we won't let our newfound fame and fortune go to our heads. So, on with the show. News. And the big news of the week is Middle-earth is moving to Middle England. Yep, that's right, Amazon is moving its entire massive Lord of the Rings production to England from New Zealand. So, David, what do you think about that?
I have really mixed views. Like, really mixed views. Like, I'm happy in a way that because it's coming to England. And that's, you know, where we live, and London's... Is it going to be London where it's going to be? I'm not sure.
Do not know where it's going to
be. But it's going to be a lot bloody closer than New Zealand, which is like literally the other side of the world.
And a big pro is it creates a lot more jobs for the UK TV and film industry.
Yeah. So there's a lot of benefits going towards it coming to the UK, but with the Peter Jackson films, and it's just been it's a thing, you know. It's solidified. Yeah. Lord of the Rings is filmed in New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
What are they going to use as? Are they still going to shoot on location in New Zealand? Because what are the location set pieces that are going to? It kind of worries me as well. Are they going to go really heavily towards green screen and everything like that? It is quite a worry at the back, like that they're going to really turn towards special overuse and special effects, almost similar to how the Hobbit films were, and practical effects weren't used as much and as well. But you'd think if you had such a huge budget that they've got, they do both and they do it well regardless, but it is still a massive concern. And the fact that it's taking the jobs away from New Zealand and bringing it to the UK is a worry. It's it's a shame. It's synonymous being in New Zealand, isn't it? It's
synonymous. Yeah, exactly.
So
have it. Well, I think I did see a funny comment where someone said, "So clearly, we're just going to be filming all the Mordor stuff in England." and then someone said, "Well, actually, Sauron will do a better job as Prime Minister than Boris Johnson," which is about as political as we get on the podcast. But I did have a brilliant. There was a brilliant riff that I'll take credit for. I come up with it. It was the whole stay home, protect the NHS, saves lives thing.
Yes, yeah.
Someone said, "Oh no, it wasn't someone. It was me." It was. I said, "Stay in the Shire, protect the ring, save Frodo."
Very good.
So that could be their new. I also might get down a t-shirt, especially if they don't over. I mean, yeah. Look, it's not New Zealand, but I did think everyone's going to say. I mean, it's 2,000 jobs they're going to lose there, but a lot of productions are queuing up for New Zealand. So I don't think it's going to be like this hammer blow that a lot of people are speculating about the New Zealand film industry, because it's New Zealand, right? It's amazing.
Yeah. Is the main reason they're leaving because of COVID restrictions? Is
no,
that one of the
big
deals? What's the main reason?
Money essentially, and
Okay.
Amazon have acquired, or they've either bought or rented a lot of studio space over in England, and they want everything a bit more in-house, because I suppose flying your execs to New Zealand and back all the time with the quarantine rules, I think it could be maybe something to do with that. And
it's probably a bunch
with England's, we're one of the better off countries in terms of double vaccinations and kind of getting things under control to a workable level at the moment. So I think they now, I mean, I still think, it should be filmed in New Zealand, man. And unfortunately, this brings to an end a 20-year plus association with New Zealand as home of the Lord of the Rings. So, I
mean, the Shire's literally built there.
I have been to Hobbiton, man.
Yeah,
do you know what? I will post on our. I actually filmed a little tour video back in my old videographer days of Hobbiton. So I'll post that on our Twitter feed one day.
Yeah, share it.
I loved it, man. I interviewed one of the people who was running the tour there, and you couldn't ask for a better picture-perfect weather the day I was there. Admittedly, I went there 3 times and it pissed it down 2 times. And that's another thing, English weather versus Kiwi weather. I know in New Zealand you do get 4 seasons in a day, like the famous song, but they generally do have a little bit...
island you're in, like north or south.
Exactly, yeah. And I always get the 2 mixed up. I know one of them is really hot and nice, and the other one is basically just like being in England. And that place, they have a lot of Scottish names as well. Really should have learnt more about it when I was over there.
I think north's the nice sunny side, and then
places like Taronga. Well, they're all nice, man. It's just that they have like more British style weather.
Yeah.
But of course, New Zealand is home to wetter studios, and productions will be lining up to use. They got world class crew locations, so I don't think it's going to be as bad as a lot of sites are reporting. Currently, season 1 is said to have cost $465 million and is set to premiere next year on September the 2nd, 2022.
Yeah, because we got that first image released, didn't we? Which that first image, I mean, I see a lot. There's been a lot of.
It could have just been made in photo.
But yeah,
it could have just been made in Photoshop, couldn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit. I don't know. I'm not.
It's a massive gamble in terms of storyline and plot and showrunners and everything. So I think the longer it goes on, the bigger and bigger gamble. And I think they just got to hope that the quality is good enough to hook people. Because if it isn't good from the start, people
I'm
like
trying to
you.
think, because the Silmar it's the story's still quite unreleased, isn't it? But it's heavily, isn't it based heavily on the Silmarillion?
I have no idea. I think it is a little bit, but they're filling in gaps themselves.
I'm trying to think, did people know The Lord of the Rings as a story before? Like, obviously the books were really popular, but the widespread audience, every regular everyday people that aren't into fantasy or don't particularly read that much, did they know Lord of the Rings beforehand but
before the films? Well, not really. No, no.
So
if you're into your
having an understanding of the story of the series that's coming out isn't necessarily going to lose audience.
I honestly, it's a crapshoot at the minute, man. I don't know what I mean, in some ways, you know what it's going to be. There's going to be a quest. There's going to be a bad guy. In some ways, I think if you watch a lot of this stuff,
it's going to have people that we know in it as well. Like Sauron's pretty sure going to be in it, and it's going to be other characters that we know from the Lord of the Rings that are just ageless.
there'll be some proto Bilbo Baggins, or there'll be some other Bagginses there'll be some Hobbit, there'll be new characters based on the races that we've known from the thing, because that's what people want to see. But at least they're not tied to the source material in that way, so they can do what they want in that. So
I'd be surprised if there's like a Baggins or something in there.
I wouldn't.
I'd be more like if there's someone that's related to Legolas, or someone that's or even Legolas himself, because how old is Legolas?
Yeah, elves can be like super old, man. So
yeah, and the I can't think of his name now. I'm brain farting.
Yeah, was better than farting.
The Rivendell, the bloke.
Hugo Weaving.
Anyway, yes, Hugo Weaving's character.
Adrian Smith's character. Doesn't matter.
Anyway, him.
So currently, season 1 is said to have cost $465 million, and we will be getting to see it finally next year on September 2nd, 2022. So finally, we also had a long awaited trailer for FX's / Hulu's Y: The Last Man, based on a classic graphic novel by Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerrera. Now, David, the reason I'm excited but tempered is this comic is up there with Watchmen and Sandman for me as one of the greatest graphic novels ever produced. But the delays and issues that have plagued the production do give me some pause on the potential quality of the show. But what is Y: The Last Man? Well, briefly, it's the story of aspiring magician and escape artist Yorick Brown and his pet monkey Ampersand, who are the only survivors of a pandemic that wipes out everything with the Y chromosome, worldwide, except them. Yes, now I know now's not the best time for a pandemic show, but I at least remembered some humour in the graphic novel, so it's not all doom and gloom. Yorick is basically a bit of a slacker, and his only motivation near the start of the story is to somehow make it to the other side of the world, to Australia, to reunite with his girlfriend Beth. So, it's a little bit Love and Monsters in some ways as well. And what follows is tales of cults, assassins, ninjas and monkeys. So, what did you make of the trailer, David?
Okay, so to start with, you're big on your graphic novels, like way more than I do, all that stuff.
And I've read all of this series. So,
very much your realm of everything. I knew jack shit about it. I literally watched this trailer. Cause you've been chatting about it before. I've watched the trailer, and then I was just like, okay, this looks like a normal thing. Whether I watch it didn't look like something I'd actually watch, if I'm completely honest with you. It didn't. The premise is interesting, like literally all men just dying out, women controlling, being forced into controlling the world. It's a good series, I guess. If you're a female actress, you're definitely going to get a job there.
That's terrible, man.
It's honestly, I need to watch it probably, because just based from the trailer, there was nothing in it that made me think, this looks amazing. I really have to watch this because of the X, Y, and Z, or even the concept of it. I feel like it was similar to. Maybe it's because I don't know. It's just sort of that.
I think we're pandemics out, man. We've been so many shows where something wipes out a bunch of people, and then and I what's missing from the trailer for me is the humour that comes through in the comic book. It obviously is super serious in places, and I mean it's up there with Walking Dead in some ways, but better. So harsh shit happens, but there's really great characters in it. I mean, so one of the things that it's kind of making me temper my expectations is obviously all the delays. They've been trying to get this on air for at least 2-3 years now, the current iteration. Originally, Barry Keoghan was supposed to play Yorick, who's a really great young actor, but now it's a relative unknown, a guy called Ben Schnetzer, and he just doesn't. Even from what I saw in the trailer, I wasn't that impressed with him. I mean, looking at the trailer, right? I like how we've talked about how I like my song choices in shows and movies and that. And A Man's World is just so on the nose. It's a bit too far on the nose, Yeah, yes, we get it. They could have been a better.
When that was playing, I was a bit like, oh, okay. Was like, you might as well have been like, it's raining man.
No, that would have been better. That would have been better, right? Man. Okay, you can stop singing because that's horrific. But that would have been a better.
Dropping dead, you could just be like, it's rain. Anyway,
that would have been a much better choice, man. Definitely, yeah. That's great choice there, man. What the trailer doesn't do as well, it doesn't really key you in on who any of the characters are. It doesn't. So you get 3 or 4 of your main characters established in the trailer. Obviously, you see Yorick, who's the guy with the monkey. Did you see Martha Kent, Diane Lane herself, in there?
Oh, I don't know. Mate, I might have. Who was she?
Right.
Was
so
she the president or the acting president?
She was the woman who says to the president, "Mr. President," and then his face goes,
yeah.
"Bleh."
Okay, yeah.
So she is Jennifer Brown, and she's Yorick's mum, and so obviously she becomes president. So, but you wouldn't have known there was any relationship between the two characters at all, would you?
No.
So that was a bit of a mistake, I thought. I mean, I guess they're going to sort of tease this stuff out, but this is literally all in the very first issue of the comic, so I don't really think it's spoilers. You've got Agent 355, played by Ashley Romans, who was the woman you see walking around the Capitol with a gun.
Yeah, okay.
So
in the trailer, sorry, was there a moment, you mentioned about comic, like, there wasn't much comedy in it. Was there a moment in it where a woman was just like, a man, baby-making machine, let's have, basically, I swear that happened in it. Because I had a little chuckle with how the line was delivered. It did make me laugh, just because it was quite seriously said, but it was quite a funny thing that she was suggesting.
Are you sure you're not getting mixed up with Handmaid's Tale?
Well, that is pretty much the Handmaid's Tale. But,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I swear that happened in it.
I think you might be mixing your post-apocalyptic shows.
But also, it should be in it if it's not.
Well, that's what I think. Like, Yorick's a proper slacker in the book. It's like he doesn't want to do anything. Like, when everyone's like, Yorick, you need to save humanity, he's like, no, I don't want to. I just want to go and find my girlfriend. And like all these like different factions and like the government and the new government, and there's
he would almost definitely in that scenario be imprisoned and literally like
milked, basically.
Yeah, for lack of a better word. Yeah, just milked. But do women? I mean, with all like, there'll be loads of like frozen sperm all over the place where people have gone to sperm banks and stuff.
Well. That I think that is covered in it, and that's a spoiler for what happens there. So yeah, no, they do. What I like about it, like how when you get all these like apocalypse stories and society breaking down things, and they never deal with the reason or the science behind it. Yeah. And it's always about, people are, like Walking Dead. I get to slag it off again in another episode. People are bad, we meet more people, they're bad, some are okay,
I genuinely
and people
think this is the 5th episode in a row. When
it's
becoming a thing.
Right, so Why the Last Man does really well is, it's not just all that, it's like, how do they get back to society being... And over the course of the whole story, it shows you how they do it, and how Yorick's obviously key to it. And also, without obviously not spoiling any of it, but when it gets to the end of the graphic novel stories, it's got a fucking perfect ending. It's really good. It's like so if they can get there, but I don't know whether they're going to hook enough people in when it comes out.
Okay.
Also,
how many seasons are you predicting for this then?
I think there was 12 trade paperbacks, so I'm not saying 12 seasons. I reckon you could probably get 4, 5, maybe 6 seasons out of it. It depends how much of a success the first series is, really, to be fair. And it's kind of been made in a vacuum, so it's going to be interesting. I mean, it is one of those graphic novels that's right up there. Also, in the trailer, you get you see the paramedic girl as well. Did you see her early on in it? Right, so that's Yorick's sister. But again, the trailer doesn't give you any indications of the relationship between the characters. It wasn't
the best trailer. I mean, I don't think the trailer necessarily needs to tell you, this person's sister or whatever like that. That's not necessary.
No, that's what the pilot. That's what the first episode.
It didn't really. Aside from being like, well, the men have died. Oh, okay. Oh, there's this one man that's still alive. Oh, okay. Why is that? It didn't really do anything else. It was just like, why is this man alive? We'll just leave that question hanging over you until you watch the show.
I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see the debate about how society would cope if there were no men. I mean, bar the obvious issues with our continued existence of the species. But, I mean, would things be as bad as the show
probably
suggests?
Be better. Yeah, that's another thing I was thinking of. Wait, if all men did die out, would it be the worst thing in the world?
Well,
I mean... We've only really fucked things up. Like, created the nuclear bomb... and all that stuff. I'm sure women could have done you could have made like electricity and shit. Are we really that needed? Are we necessary, Neil? I mean, me and you, are we necessary? I don't think we are. I think they can.
Yeah, I mean, where else would they get where else would they get their TV, film, and news from, David?
But it wouldn't exist. Our podcast would just die.
Shh.
They'd need it.
Oh yeah,
they'd need it to exist. It's sustenance to them.
Anyway, so would things be as bad as the show suggests, or would they be better, or would they be worse? Because I mean, that was again, and there was that hint at the trailer. It was like, Oh wait, oh wait, like what? You tell there was a couple of bits in there. I was like, wait a minute, have they gone a bit too far in that? Oh, they're really screwed without like men. I was like, because as they say, what about the? There's that line. He goes, the nuclear power stations. They're failing. Which ones? All of them. I was like, oh come on, like there's no engineers out there, really. You know, come on. Every person who's
females working there and managing to continue to keep it going, even though I don't know, maybe. In the mass panic that would ensue
at the start,
after that would happen, everyone would just be like, "What the fuck?" and everything would just shut down immediately. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I, as I said, I'm still not yet convinced by the actor we see as Yorick, and we don't get. I mean, you didn't get any sense at all in the trailer that he is an escape artist in training / magician, and the whole vibe of the trailer overall is pretty much your standard. Been there, seen it all before. Apocalypse. I mean, I really hope they get this right because, like I said, it's got a great ending. And, I'm just not sure making a show about a pandemic while we're in the middle of a pandemic is going to bring in the viewers. Look at the reception to the new version of The Stand last year. I mean, that was also really, really shit. But, I got my fingers crossed for this one. I know it comes out in the States on Hulu I think it's the 13th of September. So hopefully that means we'll get it on Disney Plus sometime soon over here.
Yeah, I mean, if it's... I'll watch it if you're going to
watch the pilot.
Watch it. But if I probably wouldn't watch it otherwise.
No, right. So next up, David, you're going to splooge yourself because we are going to talk about the new trailer for Mike Flanagan's new Netflix show, Midnight Mass. Now, this is due out in a little over a month on September the 24th. So I'm pretty sure he was keen to get away from the Haunting series because, and I imagine that Flanagan was like, look, I just want to do my own horror show that is in no way connected with The Haunting. Okay, yes, it was a big hit.
It isn't in no way connected to The Haunting because The Haunting sort of Twitter account has taken over Midnight Mass.
Well, that's just Netflix, isn't it? That's just like, it's just like the Flanagan verse.
It's still, like it's like.
But it's an original. But as I said, the other two
just lose the word The Haunting. You could call it The Haunting of the town, or I've forgotten the town's name in this trailer, but
Well, here's the thing, right? But The Haunting of Hill House, obviously based on the book, or Haunting of Bly Manor, based on another book. This, as far as I know, is an original story. So, is it going to be as good? There's a question.
Okay, so this is what Mike Flanagan said on Twitter. He says, "I'm just going to admit it. Midnight Mass is my favourite project so far. As a former altar boy, about to celebrate 3 years of sobriety, it's not hard to see what makes this so personal. The ideas at the root of this show scare me to my core. There is darkness at work at Crockett Island." That's the name of the place.
Your voice,
some of it is supernatural,
scares me to my soul.
But the scariest is born in human nature. The darkness that animates this story isn't hard to see in our world, unfortunately. Full stop. Full stop.
What the fuck?
So basically he's saying that it's his fucking greatest thing that he's ever done and he's really proud of it and that he wants it to be amazing.
Yeah, but everyone says that about their next project, so you don't go to work on your next film and go, "Oh, I've really been, it's something I'm doing full in time before I go and do it."
Anything.
Yeah, we know. You would marry him, except for he's already married to Kate Siegel, who's also in this. Anyway, the show is about an isolated community that experiences supernatural events after the arrival of a mysterious priest. So, we have returning Flanagan favourites Kate Siegel, she's his wife, and E.T., not E.T. himself, because E.T.'s puppet, Elliot himself from E.T., Henry Thomas. But joining them, David, is Matt Sorensen. Do you know who Matt Sorensen is?
Was he the chef in the Haunting of Bly Manor?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Matt Sorensen was one of the lead characters in the criminally underrated Friday Night Lights, played by the young actor Zach Gilford.
Right, okay.
So Zach Gilford, Matt Sorensen's actually the character name of his character from that, not this. But I was just trying to be clever and you didn't get the reference, so that's fine. So Zach Gilford, but do you know what? He was amazing in Friday Night Lights, and I don't think he'd done anything before that.
I never watched Friday Night Lights.
Full Hearts. What's that? He's got his saying. It's a dude from Godzilla King of the Monsters, A Terrible Father. That's his show, but he's really good in it.
Okay.
But anyway, getting off the point. Yeah, so Zach Gilford also, in this show, he plays a young man who is disgraced for some reason and returns home. And when he returns home, it coincides with the arrival of a charismatic preacher played by Hamish Linklater. So we know a little bit about the plot now, but does the trailer really tell us anything? I mean, speculation. What are your thoughts on the trailer? What do you think the show's going to be about, David?
Well, we know it's going to be about supernatural events that happen once this gentleman arrives.
That's literally just what I said 2 seconds ago.
I know. That's basically all we have.
Really?
There's going to be miracles that concur. There's going to be...
Concur? A concurring miracle.
Occur.
I concur.
Oh, yes. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I mean, I think from the trailer, you can pretty much piece together a rough idea of what's going to happen. Not like obvious, but, you know... And I think there's certain bits where you're looking at the trailer where stuff's been cut, where it's not necessarily going to be in the order it's going to play out in the show. I mean, obviously, the first thing is, the very first shot of the trailer is the church. So immediately we know religion is going to be a major aspect of the show, right?
Yeah, and we mean that from the trailer being, like, the priest and everything. It's all about the priest. Like, even the posters being a priest.
We see the township in a rundown community, and they're barricading their houses and in anticipation of a storm. And then you got the VO at the start with Linklater's priest, Father Paul, saying people don't like mysteries. So already he's telling you the show's going to be a mystery. You know, he's literally setting you up. His opening VO is literally the whole show in the thing. So it's going to be like this mystery thing. Having said that, we get a dead cat on the beach, which is nice. Yeah, fucking lovely. Seagull pecking at it. Goddamn seagulls. I hate seagulls. Yeah. And we see Guilford's character, who's called Riley. You see him having a ghostly vision.
Yeah, so that's so peculiar what's going on inside her head.
Not really.
Flashing lights and everything. I mean,
to me that just looked like, he probably killed this girl in a car crash or something.
Yeah, because you had the sirens coming through her face, which is quite interesting.
So, that was cool. Clearly I'm guessing that he was responsible for this girl's death in some way. And this maybe happened in the past on the islands and then he left, or he's been away, perhaps he got away from the islands and then this happened when he's on the mainland somewhere. And then he's had to leave the mainland in disgrace and go back home. And, of course, that's probably what I'm saying. You do see that you get this gigantic storm happening. So, and you see a mysterious figure outside in the storm. You've got all these weird villagers on a candlelit pilgrimage. So, I'm wondering whether that could actually be a flashback. And that could be like a funeral procession for the person that he's accidentally killed, or maybe actually killed earlier in the story. So the ghost that Riley sees, that could have been like a flashback to that, maybe. You get a potential Rosemary's Baby, demon baby vibe. You see that character having an ultrasound.
Yeah, that bit.
And going,
yeah.
So again, it looks like he's drawing from a lot of classic horror influences there.
Yes,
I mean, definitely. It definitely looks like Riley is haunted, and like he is. Again, I think it's going to be one of these things where it's going to be almost like a two-hander between Riley fighting for his eternal soul against the evil priest played by Linklater.
I mean, the scene where he falls off the chair as well during the whole why montage, and then he collapses, and you just why did that happen, Neil? But yeah, and then it ends with that shot of the of someone's eye that's all kind of he's had too much
whiskey.
A bit. No, I think isn't
blood.
Don't your eyes?
It looks bloodshot.
No, it doesn't look bloodshot. It looks like it's got. I've forgotten what it's called. It's what Michael Jordan had because he smoked too many cigars, where his eyes went like orange.
I have no idea.
Do you know what I mean?
About.
Anyway, yeah, Michael Jordan's eyes went like that because his eyes got a bit. Anyway, it looks like that.
Okay, well, I mean, so far, in a way, from what I'm saying, it's kind of. You're not going to like this, David. To me, the trailer just feels very generic in a predictable kind of way. And I was just like, it's going to be good, but a lot of it is obvious to me where it's going to go. It can only go a couple of ways.
What we saw was maybe one episode or 2 episodes. The trailer is the first 2 episodes, and that's it. So it's going to go. There's so much that you haven't seen in it. That's going to be.
It's not so much. I think there's only 6 or 7 episodes, 100%. Right?
I'm confident in saying that the trailer is only showing probably about 2 episodes worth of content.
Well, I mean,
and the first 2 episodes as well. So we've really got no idea where it's going to go, or what twists and concerns they're going to have. Now Flanagan's not going to. He's not. Yeah, he's smarter than that man. He's smart. You're trying to outsmart the Flanagan. You ain't going to be able to do it. You can't.
I think we can. I think you can if you look at this type of show.
Even with Blind Manor, that was based off a book, a well-known book. You know, the film had been made before. You couldn't have predicted what that was going to do, and
yes,
where
you could.
Not with a
We've
lot
argued this. We've argued this before, David. We've argued this before, and the Haunting in the Hill House was genuinely surprising if you hadn't read the book. Blind Manor, again, if you hadn't read the book, was predictable because it was pretty much the same fucking story and all the same twists and all the same shocks were just taken. It was almost, and I can see why Flanagan wanted to get away from doing a continuation of that, and that's why he's doing this show. Because
we've already
disagreed.
It, so you can...
We agreed to disagree on that one. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it was
bad.
I
know what you're saying. There's certain shots in that, but yeah. Anyway.
Just this whole sequences where, and because
I definitely disagree if you think this trailer's predictable. I can see where
the trailer's predictable.
I almost think it's set up in a way to make you think that.
It's going to be about this haunted guy going back to his hometown. This priest's going to rock up, and everyone's going to think he's like the saviour of the place. The guy's going to probably think, oh no, he's actually a bit dodgy, and we should stop him. And then it's going to be like a fight for the soul of the island and all the people on the island. That's what I'm getting from the trailer anyway. So we'll see if I'm right in September.
That probably is correct, but that's probably just one element that's going to be going on in this. That's not going to be the entire show.
Well, I mean, it is. There's obviously more to it. That's just like the broad outline of what's going to happen.
There were entire characters that we didn't even see.
Well, yeah, of course, it's a trailer.
Did you see Elliot in it?
No.
What's the significance of his character then?
He's got a phone home. Anyway, but that bloodshot eye bit, David. Yeah. That was. Let's just say, before we went down a whole other rabbit hole, I was going to say it was predictable, but that last line and that last thing with the bloodshot eye. Do you know when I saw that bloodshot eye and I was like, could that be vampires? I don't know, something like bloodshot eye and like the eye going. Oh, then I thought, well, perhaps you've got like demonic possession, and that's that line where the priest says, what's the sign? There's that line where he says, "You know who I am."
Yeah.
No, he goes, "Who are you? You know who I am." Dude, I reckon he could be like, if not a demon, he could be the devil. And he's there spreading corruption. And that will be an awesome twist if that happens. Like, if we get up to the stage and, like, he's revealed to be, like, literally the devil corrupting everyone, I'd be like, yep, I'm totally down for that. It reminds me a little bit of that whole town, and then the town go crazy and, you know, it turns into, like, Sodom and Gomorrah. It's actually very similar to that book, Hex, I mentioned a few months back, where the whole town kind of goes mental towards the end. So, it could be, I mean, it could be the devil spreading corruption on a small, isolated town.
Yeah,
so
I'm all up for it. I was most excited by the release date because it's quite soon.
Yeah, so, I mean, they should release it. They should release it at Halloween, man. I'm just saying they've missed a trick there.
Didn't they do that for the Hauntings?
Yeah, exactly. So why not release it at the same time?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think is it next 13th of September? Is it? No, that's the last show. I know it's not long. Is it September? It's coming out, isn't it? September 24th, maybe. We should have checked.
Yeah. Did you see Did you see all the Easter eggs that Twitter? Was it Twitter? I don't know. Someone posted. I think it was Midnight Mass Twitter account itself posted of the Easter eggs of Midnight Mass in other stuff that Flanagan's done. So Midnight Mass is in the book. The book I'll just mention really quickly. The book is in Ender's Game and it's in Hush.
Right.
Is it Ender's Game? Not Ender's Game. That's not correct.
Gerald's Game. No, that was.
Gerald's Game.
Very different films there.
Films, yeah.
I mean, Gerald's I don't think a small child being trained for intergalactic war in a simulator, and then he's got his missus chained up to a bed, and then he dies. It would be a very good crossover film. Lots of problems with that. We
might be onto something there, though.
But I don't think so. I think he'd end up in prison. Anyway, so we're both very excited for Midnight Mass. David a little bit more than me, but. Yeah, it's going to be a good show. We're in Flanagan we trust. I mean, you know, this goes. Don't forget, Doctor Sleep is better than The Shining, and we'll leave it there. So, David, David, I have to have the last word on that, and that's it. So, David, tell me, what have you been watching this week? I believe you've been watching a show that is just really grim and very hard going, and just downright miserable.
Yeah,
miserable.
Yeah. That's
the only word. Miserable.
Miserable. That's a word.
Miserable.
Anyway.
Yeah, go.
Okay. So I've started watching The Handmaid's Tale.
From season 1?
From season 1, yeah. Well, obviously from season 1. Because I've started it on season 1. We're almost at the end of season 1 at the moment.
Have you got the will to live still?
I'm really enjoying it at the moment. At the beginning, it made no fucking sense to me at all. I didn't understand why the society was like this, but then you kind of have to keep watching the episodes to understand more of what's bloody going on in this show.
I thought you said you was just going to look at the news in America and give it 10 years.
It's so, honestly, there's some elements of it that I don't quite understand still, because I'm just like, well, why hasn't this just happened, or why hasn't that just happened, or something else? And there's some bits that are quite confusing that I don't fully get yet, because this is such a dystopian...
Because they're confusing?
America. Yeah, it's just completely. Some of it's quite baffling at the moment. Anyway, but it's essentially a dystopian America where people have stopped being able to successfully give birth at a regular rate. So if you can even get pregnant, which is highly unlikely, the chances of your baby surviving is like 1 in 5, I think. And to sort of combat this, America, there was a terror. From what I understand at the moment, from where I am, because I don't want to Google into it too much to research it properly, because I don't want to spoil it for myself. But where I'm at,
clearly,
there's a terrorist organisation that attacked both the White House, Congress, and somewhere else at the same time, and then basically just overthrew America. And they're called the Eye, from what I understand.
Didn't that almost happen in January?
So, what are you chatting about?
When they stormed the Capitol, like
literally.
Oh,
okay, yeah. Okay, well, anyway, you know what? Very similar, and because this terrorist, the Eye, for me, it seems like it's like the NRA and
MAGA
anti-feminists just decided to take over America.
And have a lovely tea party.
Yeah, and you know what? Religious nut jobs as well. So it's the NRA, religious nut jobs, and anti-feminists all had some weird fucking baby, and then that's the group.
But it survived out of the 1 in 5.
Yeah. It's so.
Here's my question, David.
To watch as well.
Right. I was about to say. So yeah, I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, good God, it's a slog."
I mean,
good God, it's miserable.
I wouldn't say it's a slog. It's really depressing. It's a proper dire show to watch. I mean, some of the
hasn't
scenes,
Elizabeth Moss been through enough, man?
There's a lot. The show at the moment. It is a lot of awkward silences, and no, not awkward silences, intense silences. For like half the show is just someone looking at somebody else and looking at them intently in silence. And it's a lot of very awkward sex, Neil. Very awkward sex. Like having sex with a corpse whilst in between your wife's legs. It's very... And you can't look at the woman whilst you're having sex with her because that's forbidden. You can only look like everywhere else and sort of just get the deed, get it done, get it over with. You know, it's really odd.
Here's my question, David. Are you enjoying it?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm enjoying it so far. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to finish the first season and probably finish the whole series, depending on how it goes in Season 2 and Season 3. It's really enjoyable. There's some stuff that really irks me at the beginning of the show, like the inner monologue really disliked it at the beginning, but but it's sort of grown on me a little bit because I understand it's necessary to sort of understand, like, to get where she's at in her head, because her head is different to what you see outside. She's been
is she a robot?
And beaten and no, she's been whipped and beaten, like cattle prodded and stuff into submission. So what she says on the outside and is completely different to how she feels on the inside. It's obvious that she's fucking in pain and stuff, and she's hating her existence, and she's basically wants to commit suicide but hasn't committed suicide because her daughter's out there somewhere and she needs to find him. And there's this whole underplot of a resistance going on in the background, but I haven't quite got that far into the show yet, so I don't know anything. How
many episodes in are you?
I think I'm 7 or 8 episodes into the first season, and there's 10 episodes a season. Another thing that kind of annoys me at the moment is there's so many shots where the foreground is in focus and everything else is out of focus. But that's like the entire show is like that. So you're only ever going to see what's in the foreground. So you're only ever going to see like someone's face or the hand, and you mean whatever's in the background is just blurry. Everything's blurry. So if you like a lot of soft focus, Neil, it's your show for you.
So here's my next question, David. Do you honestly think I'd enjoy it?
I think you'd watch it. I do think you'd watch it. I think you would enjoy it for what it is. I think you'd get sucked into it as well. A lot of it is quite predictable because I kind of pissed Natasha off, to be honest, and I was just like, at the very beginning, I was like, oh, it's so obvious this is going to happen, and she's just like, and she just sort of looks at me.
Let me watch it.
She'd read the book, so that's why she wanted to watch it. And I'm just like, so obvious that's going to happen. And she just sort of looks at me. And then I'm like, well, that's obviously not the person she thinks it is. And then she sort of, and then all that sort of stuff happens. So there's little things that happen during the episode and stuff that you're like, oh, okay. But then there are stuff that surprises you throughout. I mean, there's the...
Okay.
I did fall for the fucking cardinal sin.
Don't tell me.
Of one
watch it.
It's so obvious though, and I don't know why I fell for it, because it's so obvious. Because
clearly it was done well. If you fell for it, don't tell me. Don't tell me. No. If you're trying to recommend a show to me to watch, you don't then spoil that show to try and get me to watch it.
But it's okay. It's just anyway. It was a twist, and I fell for the twist, and I shouldn't have, because it's so obvious if you think about it.
Yeah, but if it was done well, then that's good. If it was done badly, you wouldn't have fell for it. If it was done well, you fell for it. So it was a good twist. You're just annoyed at yourself.
I know. So
anyway,
bloody stupid.
Fair enough. Okay, so from the depths of despair, it's not high on my watch list, man. I got a lot more stuff to get through, and this will be like if there was another lockdown and I broke a leg or something.
If that does anything.
I know it's got good review. Well, yeah. I know. Like, look, Elizabeth Moss is generally brilliant in everything she's ever in. And this is her show.
She is fucking really good at it. Yeah.
And Yvonne Strahovski, who I forget, I don't know what her character was in this, but she was the lead in Chuck, and she was amazing in that. Although a very different kind of role in it. And I looked at the cast list when I was doing a bit of IMDbing on it, and it's got a massive, continuously changing cast. But I'm not. It's low down on my to-do list, man. It's not quite up there. So from the depths of despair in Gilead to Chipping Norton, David. Chipping Norton.
Oh, fucking Clarkson's Farm.
Yes, Chipping Norton. David,
Norton.
I've watched the whole show.
Yeah,
all of them.
Did you like it?
I did. My old man liked it as well. It was just a gentle, easy to watch, entertaining show, man.
It's honestly, I genuinely think it's the best thing Clarkson's ever done.
I mean, you can't. Are you much of a car person, David?
To me, it's not even arguing. I'm not much of a car person, but I watch.
So you can't really say.
I've watched pretty much every Grand Tour season so far, and to me, it's the best thing he's done. Definitely, without a shadow of doubt.
I mean, I don't know. I can't really. Did you say you've watched the Grand Tour and all these?
Yeah, I've watched the Grand Tour aside from the one that's just been released where they're in Scotland.
Spoilers? Where we're going, there are nothing but spoilers.
My notes on the show, David, what I liked. Obviously, like as you said, Caleb and Gerald, brilliant.
Yeah.
I love Gerald, like just Clarkson's reactions to Gerald when he can't understand the fucking word he's saying.
It's the combine. It's the combine harvester one. That's what got me. Where they're trying to communicate over the.
And he's trying to pour the seed.
And he's just like, "Hey, you got fucking idea."
I mean, and Kate and Caleb's trip to London was just like brilliant as well.
Yeah,
man. Like, that was really funny.
I mean, there's loads of gold in that. It's such a lovely. I'm really looking forward to the second season that they're going to do.
Well, it's like you said. You've got obviously you don't really care about the obvious fictionalized parts of it. Like clearly Clarkson didn't do all of this by himself, and they've just filmed parts of it to obviously make it look like he did it, and clearly he has help running it all and all that because.
It's stuff like where they forgot to put the bird box on the pole. Like, that's so obviously, faked, because who would fucking forget to put a bird box on the pole when the whole point is putting a bird box? You know what I mean? It's stuff like that, where it's so obviously just fake. Even the scene with Caleb in the Combine Harvester was... Not Caleb, sorry. Gerald in the Combine Harvester was probably faked, just for comedic element, because they know that...
Well, it was probably it was probably constructed. They probably had him in there.
It's so funny. It's so well done, all of it.
I mean, I like I say, I've never really watched Top Gear. I'm not a car guy, but I did like his pure enthusiasm. Like when he delivers a lamb and he's got his catchphrase, "I did a thing."
Yeah.
And wherever, I mean, when his name's his shit water, it's got no shit in it, and then you find out it actually has shit in it, and they can't sell it. Brilliant things like that. Like calling his two rams, Wayne Rooney and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Rest in peace, Wayne.
Spoiler. Character death, man. Character death on the farm. Jesus.
Oh, that was heartbreaking, man. Wait, do you know what was really sad? When the two lambs that haven't been impregnated, they're just sort of sent to the slaughterhouse. And his reaction where he's like, "Can I say goodbye to them?" and then and they've already gone. Yeah, and it's just like what?
I think
that was sad.
What I liked was when the pandemic hit last year and they were filming in that, and like the way they kind of showed how that affected things, and it's weird watching something that obviously we've all lived through, but seeing how obviously in the early days people didn't know what they were doing.
It was interesting how I thought it was funny how they're considered. Obviously, farming was considered a key worker, but were the camera crew?
Well, I mean,
a lot. They were. I don't know. Maybe
let's be honest. Yeah, like
a lot of stuff probably continued anyway, and they were cameras. So
I think where they were on the farm, they're outdoor all the time, weren't they? Almost all the time. I'm
not knocking it. I was just asking. I thought that question when they were going on about it, but
it's like
I think like people would obviously afterwards still gone in, for like journalism and stuff, but
that would have all been done via Zoom, man.
It's not. Yeah. Anyway.
But I think the key thing you can take away from the show is, I mean, it shows you Clarkson clearly doesn't need the money from the farm. And like you say, as you get to the end of the series, you find out he makes, about 150 quid profit he makes after the whole year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but what's good is it shows you that it's, what he does get across really well is it shows you it's a really, really tough lifestyle with little to fuck all reward, and you're just at the mercy of the elements all the time.
I think it's built so much respect for farmers.
It's definitely done a good job for promoting the UK agriculture industry, which is always a good thing, especially as, like you say, with all the, we need to, in this country, you need to be a bit more self-sufficient on producing our own stuff as much as we can. And anything that tells people, wait, this is a good thing, you should be doing it, and shows it in a positive light is all good.
I don't think the people at Chipping Norton are very happy, though, with the amount of people that are visiting his farm shop now. I think it's just a ridiculous, unbearable, unmanageable amount of people.
Well, they want their no shit water with shit in it. So,
You know what? I really want to try one of his. You see the size of those melons that she had? Were they melons? I know they weren't grown there, but I've never seen a melon that big. That was on that
mushroom.
Show. Was it a mushroom?
Yeah.
I swear,
giant mushroom.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I don't know.
Melon farmer. You're a melon farmer, David. Right. So as you mentioned earlier on, there is going to be a second series of it, and I think he announced it on his Twitter a little while ago. And there's a little, video where they announced it, and apparently he's going to have cows on it next season. And he says, join us on next season on Clarkson's farm. And then Caleb apparently shouts, "You mean Caleb's farm? I do all the fucking work."
Yeah.
So, very much looking forward to that. But I imagine that'll be next year we get that, because obviously they've only just announced it, so they've probably got some stuff in the can already filming wise. But so David, where you were a little bit late to the party on The Handmaid's Tale, I'm spectacularly late to the party on Channel 4's Misfits, which is now all on Netflix. Have you ever watched Netflix? Did you ever watch it?
I watched it.
Right, don't tell me anything, because I never watched any of it.
Okay.
And I don't know anything about it. I've just done season 1 in the last couple of days. There's 5 seasons. I do know that almost the whole cast leave and get replaced season by season.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the quality shifts over there. But dude, season 1 was fucking brilliant. Robert Sheenan, man. And it's funny because you watch a show and every episode is set in or around the community centre. The special effects are dog shit in it. I know it's obviously quite old for the time, but it's the scripts and the performances of the young actors, man. Yeah. So I went down a little bit because I've only done season 1 of it, and I don't want to have any spoilers. So when I was doing a little bit of research on it, I didn't Google obviously ahead on it.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, obviously Robert Sheenan's his mouthy Nathan. He's like the standout character, hands down, from the first series. Yeah. So I thought I'm going to do a quick where are they now and what have they done since Misfits?
Well, he off the back of that, what I remember whilst he was filming that, he was, and because he was obviously the biggest, most charismatic character in the entire show, and as an actor, it brought him onto a stage, and there was a lot of talk about him at the time. And directly after that, he's never really fulfilled that. To be honest, I can't think of many things he's done after it, aside from Umbrella Academy. I know.
Well, I was about to say, he's in that now, playing pretty much the same role. But from the main 5 characters, I mean, you could argue that he's probably had the joint most success, along with a young Ian. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ian Ryan? Simon, creepy pervert guy, who went on to, of course, play Utter Bastard, Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones, Mr. Dick Chopper. I mean, he's just like fucking Norman Bates, man, like in this one, in season 1. But obviously they're the two that have gone on to the biggest ones. But I mean, the other 3 main actors were Nathan Stewart Jarrett, Lauren Soshka, and Antonia Thomas as Curtis, Kelly, and Alicia, respectively. Now, Stewart Jarrett has mainly stuck to TV, but he's had roles in Doctor Who, Dracula, Utopia, and he's got a role in the long-delayed Candyman remake coming out soon. So at least he has got himself in quite a big film coming out soon. Socha, who played Kelly, the Chavy Chav, she's only had the odd role here and there, and I mean, her most recent film was called Shed of the Dead. So looking down her IMDb, her career's really never took off. I mean, I suppose being convicted of a racist attack on a cab driver a few years back probably didn't help her.
It's not going to do it much good, yeah.
No. Having said that, thankfully, Antonia Thomas has fared much better because she, a little while after that, she got a key role on The Good Doctor in the States. So that was a nice 5-year arc for her as one of the lead actors in that show. And most recently, just last year, she appeared in Steve McQueen's small axe film Red, White, and Blue. So she's. I'm liking how small the story was and how great the performances were in season 1. I do know that Joseph Gilgan arrives in season 3, I think it is, and I know him from playing, bizarrely, an Irish vampire on Preacher called Cassidy, and he was absolutely amazing in that. So but the funny thing is, I didn't realise the actor wasn't Irish; he is actually English. So it's going to be funny seeing him doing a non-English role. Because I'm assuming when he comes into it, and no spoilers, that he's essentially kind of like the new Sheenan's character. You know, he's the big charismatic lead actor in it by the sounds of things.
Yeah, he is, but he doesn't do it as well.
Fair enough, yeah. So I'm probably, I mean, there's all 5 seasons. I think there's like 6 or 7 episodes a season. So this is going to be my next binge, David.
Yeah, no, it is good. I think you've already peaked in the show.
Oh, right. So it doesn't get better as it goes on then?
Not particularly, no. But what I liked about it, to begin with especially, I liked how everyone's powers corresponded with something to do with their personality.
Okay.
Can you run me through their powers real quick? What were they?
Yeah, so Nathan finds out at the end of season 1 he is immortal. He can't be killed.
Right, yeah, so he can't be killed. He's so fucking annoying and that you can't get rid of him.
Yeah.
Right, he can't be killed.
You've got Ewan Ryan, who's the creepy pervert guy. He obviously turns invisible.
Right, so yeah, he's just wants to socially distance. He wants to disappear from the world. He doesn't understand. He can't find his place in society. He wants to become invisible.
Yeah, and also
that's basically what happens to him.
He's a murderous little pervert as well.
Next person.
Next one, you've got Curtis. He was a disgraced sports guy. So, of course, Flash, he can rewind time. So, you know. In fact, was it episode 3 or 4 where you get to see he has to it's like the time loop episode they've done, which was probably the best one of the whole season, I thought, where he keeps going back to change things, and every time it fucks something else up. And to get that done in like a 45-minute show was really well done.
Yeah.
I
remember everyone's powers corresponded with an aspect of their personality or what they wanted out of life.
Well, I'm not too sure. Having said that, I'm not too sure on 2 girls because Kelly, who's the chavvy girl, she can hear people's thoughts. So I'm not quite sure how that ties into her character as much. I suppose because in a way it's because she cares so much what. She says she doesn't care what people think about her, but she clearly does, and I suppose that ties into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, just solve that myself. And then Alicia, basically, if she touches you, you want to shag her. And obviously she's in it as like the token pretty girl at the start. So, that's
a very peculiar power to have.
It's not exactly helpful in any way, is it? And like it goes close. Well, it goes over the line in a few places in season 1 with that as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's been a long time since I watched that show, so I can't remember much of it.
Well, she essentially rapes Curtis in it because she they flirt a little bit, and then she just grabs him, and then he's like, "No, that wasn't you. That was that wasn't it." So I don't know if they're hinting at more stuff there because that was pretty cool. But I've really enjoyed it, man. I think it's really well written and.
Yeah,
like you say,
you'll enjoy the next season. It's just maybe after that you'll kind of okay, and then it will get
because that's when the main cast start going. I mean, it's funny actually. I do like that someone said it's basically like if Heroes was set in England and they are all fuckwits.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if Heroes were all fucking convicts and idiots. Yeah.
But do you know what? Show really actually watching it now kind of really it stole a lot from, and not necessarily you think so. It's fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like Well, the scene where he wakes up in the coffin, dead and alive, and has to get out of there. Obviously, they come and help him. The bit where there was an episode in, I think, season 1 of Buffy where there's a girl who is ignored and she becomes invisible. Then she starts, killing people, and then gets recruited by the government to become an assassin. And that's very similar. You've got the guy who's the creepy guy, and then he becomes invisible and just does creepy stuff.
Yeah. So there's even more. His character arc. I think he's the only one that stays. I can't remember.
Yeah, Curtis.
It's
Curtis, the runner.
Longer.
No, it's Curtis, the runner's the guy who's there for the whole thing, I think, yeah.
The Invisible Guy has a much bigger story arc in the next few seasons, definitely.
Well, I suppose you have to. Well, I mean, yeah, it's I mean, I have really enjoyed it, man. And that's like I say, that's my go-to show at the minute in the mornings. So before work.
It's hard to for me to explain, but without spoiling it for you. So I just want.
No spoilers, David. Yeah. No spoilers. Right. So I think that rounds us up on this super fast, super short-ish. I mean, I think by the time you've edited it, it'll be shortish. Do you know, we're using such good words today, David? Such good words. Shortish.
We're such vocabularies.
Jesus Christ. All right, well, that's all the time we got time. Well, that's all the time we got time for. Yeah, that
I'm really
works.
Sad
that's all
that I didn't get to say my joke at the beginning. Just saying.
Well, save it for next week. That's all the time we got for.
Really
See you next time. It probably wasn't. What do you have to run away for? What do you have today that's so important? We have to cut the podcast short. Tell the people.
I need to try a suit on. I need to go to Canterbury. I've got an appointment in Canterbury at 12 o'clock, and I need to.
We needed